Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to be talking about all of the Darkness familiars that are 4-star in Kuni Crossworlds. We're going to talk about what they do. Let me tell you all, these guys are very PvP focused, so let's go ahead and dig in. So the Darkness familiars, particularly Arachnis here, is quite terrifying for any PvP players. Arachnis, and I have been killed by her multiple times already in PvP, has damage to players plus 3% as the primary passive. That maxes out to damage to players plus 7%. You don't even have to have her set in order for her to be dealing additional damage to players. Her ability Pierce is going to deal 386% of attack as damage per hit to a single enemy. If the target is a player, then deal 5% of max HP as additional damage. And again, if you do max that out, that's going to be 10% of max HP as additional damage. She is going to obliterate you many times in PvP. And for those of you that are killed by her, I apologize. Thank heaven she's a rare plus, so she's going to be at least a little bit difficult to pull. But Lord have mercy, she is going to go on a rampage quite frequently. The ability that we bring for the familiar combats is going to be Shadow Thorn. It is an active ability, deals 297% of attack as AoE damage to enemies, increases targets damage taken by 20% for 6 seconds. This is going to be very good. Again, with all of the rare pluses, it seems like they're almost essential in the minion-based combat. And again, while we haven't gotten there in global yet, this is huge. The fact that it deals AoE damage and lowers the defenses of the opponents. So really big deal here. Penguicorn, a support-based dark element unit. Now, I have not seen this guy in-game at all. I have not seen his cute little sprite running around. I'm just waiting for it. I want to see it. Pankacorn is going to decrease skill cooldown for darkness familiars accompanying the partner by 1%. You're also going to get the global buff, which will increase crit damage by 1% for each darkness familiar equipped. This is pretty good overall. I do like that these weaker support familiars have gotten these global exclusive buffs, because Gentleman Dignity, his active ability which heals, only restores 7.5% of max HP and 1000 HP. Now, it is important to note that this heal is instant on both sides. So unlike some of the other familiars that have like an HP regen, where it's like HP plus 1000 regen, this is just straight up, healing an additional 1000 HP. It's going to instantly remove flash and increase flash resistance by 50% for 5 seconds. The flash resistance here and remove flash is actually a little bit better than you might expect, because flash is a longer status ailment than some of the other status ailments in the game. So you are going to have a better chance to instantly remove the flash than you may initially have thought. In terms of the heal, it's not as strong, again, as Shrimp Paler or Splishers. It's much up there with like Disbelief, where it's just not the highest level heal. But I think that the increased crit damage and the decreased skill cooldown of Darkness Familiars, I think this synergy, because you're probably going to be running a mono Darkness Familiar composition, just because they all kind of synergize better together than the light familiars and some of the other familiar combinations. I do think that while the heal is less, it is going to be a powerful combination, particularly in PvE and AFK farming. Magical Hat, the familiar passive, or the familiar active ability when you're in familiar combat, is going to decrease accuracy rate for the 3 most distant enemies familiar by 25% and blinds for 4 seconds. So very powerful, going to definitely impact the field and going to let you kind of push in a little bit further and take a little bit less damage. Hog Goblin, this is another one of those familiars that I was like told this is the best for rogue, and if you need rogue, you need this. I think, again, these people who are saying you need to have specific familiars for specific classes, while yes, they may be, helpful, you're going to be changing your familiars on quite a regular basis. So I feel like a lot of that information is misinformation out there. Hobgoblin's Heart, he is going to be the familiar that does universally increase dark damage, which is a-okay with me. He also looks really cool. Pulverize is going to deal 291% of attack as damage, increases the target's crit resist rate by 10% for 5 seconds, or decreases the target's crit resist rate. So again, that would be really good with Rogue, but that's going to be really good with any class, and it's going to be really good in any type of content. So overall, going to make you deal more damage, which is great. Stun Slam for the familiar based combat is going to deal 231% of attack as damage to the enemy familiar with the highest attack and stun them. So not only are you going to be able to stun them, it's also going to corrupt them. You're going to stop your opponent from dealing the attack damage. He's going to stop the opponent familiar from being able to hit you. Overall, wonderful, great ability. He's going to be really good in familiar combat and really good when you're in situations where you want to debuff the opponent to deal more critical hit damage. Ebon Taurex, all of us are going to be getting him. He is part of the week login event right now for new players. So all of us are going to be getting him, and he's very interesting as a unit. He does give a light damage taken -1%. Of course, this goes up as you level him. But he also gives damage from rampaging enemy -4%, which is really cool because whenever the enemies go into their rampage state, it is quite terrifying, and being able to kind of hit the max level on this and get, you know, 10% damage down from rampaging enemies could be the difference between you dying and not dying, particularly if you're trying to do those higher level field bosses that are like one-shotting you all the time. 10% damage down could be potentially 9,000 damage mitigation, and 9,000 damage mitigation could absolutely save your life. Unyielding, his passive or his active ability, is going to create a shield with 7.5% of max HP for 7 seconds. Damage from boss monsters is -15% while the shield is active. You're also going to get CC immunity by 25% when you are using it. At max level, this is going to lower damage from boss monsters by 30% while the shield is active. So not only are you going to have that innate 10% if he is maxed out, you're going to have that 30% mitigation. So upwards of 45% mitigation from a single hit from boss enemies is extremely good. Unstoppable, the familiar action that he does have, is going to deal 132% of attack as damage and pushes back the enemy. This could mess up your opponent's potential positioning on the field. This could let you maybe get in and hit the back line a little bit. Not the strongest ability, but definitely pretty cool. And a lot of us are going to have Ebon Taurex, so a lot of us are going to be using him, I'm sure. Dinoceros. I do have Dinoceros, and I do really enjoy him. Dinoceros falls into that category where, again, he increases darkness damage. Now, if you could get him with Hog Goblin as well, I believe these do stack. Very cool. Very good to kind of increase, like if you're wanting to run a mono dark composition. Very exciting. In fight, the active field ability is going to deal 221% of attack as damage, and it's going to knock down for 1.5 seconds. Really good in PvP. 100% chance to corrupt, which deals 100% of attack damage for 8 seconds. Again, corrupt is very similar to Flash, where it does last 8 seconds. His familiar ability, Wild Roar, is going to deal 425% of attack as damage to enemies in range, causes impact for 2 seconds, which increases damage to corrupted enemies by 25%. So very interesting. Another AoE ability with very high percentage modifier to use on the opponents. Going to be very powerful and effective in that type of familiar based content. Anyway, everybody, that is the end of our 4-star review videos for all of the different element characters. Make sure you check out the other videos. Make sure you leave a like, a subscribe, leave a comment. I am trying to, jump into Ni no Kuni Crossworlds, make Ni no Kuni content, and any support you guys can give me would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later.